Okay.
So here we go. Yo, so what's the scenario?
Well, I'm hoping first and foremost is
Yeah.
that my feed is better than Saturday. Saturday was a hot mess of you just wanted to throw that away and get like hit a redo on that
hmm
entire thing. There was just no way to get a good connection, and it was just bad
And
everywhere.
and it's such a demoralizing feeling when you're feeling your stream just train wreck and you're like, there's nothing I can do
And I'm
here.
trying to salvage it. So like I watched it again. The audio, so at the end I ended up doing it with headphones. The audio was bad, the video was bad. I was like, "Oh my God." So I didn't release an audio version. I left the video because it existed and it is the mess that it
We
is.
can all agree
I
that
was like,
thing happened.
that happened. I so wanted to pull the reins on it and say, I'm sorry, this just isn't either stars are not aligning. We literally just powered
Yeah,
through the entire thing. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting calls at 8 o'clock at night.
it
And
happens.
it's like seriously, but welcome everybody, welcome back. My buddy Juan Carlos and I are back at it again on a Thursday evening. Is it the first Thursday? No, second Thursday of August, with
Yes, second.
a lot of things happening since last week. Namely, obviously some announcements and so on, but also some revisiting of some content and some devices
hmm
that we all love, and they're close and dear to our hearts. And also talking a little bit of a rivalry between some camera manufacturers, or I say smartphone manufacturers, with some really good, exquisite
Yeah.
lenses on top. But I do see
We
we
got
have a
Barry
lot of our friends.
Johnson jumping
Yeah, yeah,
in.
yeah. I missed the
I
stream
missed the
thinking because I was
stream
on
because he
my,
was on a
on
mother
the
flipping
motherfucking ball.
boat.
Yeah. Well, you had a much better time, Barry. So let's just say this: you did not miss any train wreck information. Let's just say this: it started here. Actually, no, it started here, and it just kept going down. It wasn't even here. It just did.
Right. Just kept digging.
Uh, it was bad. It was. I mean, if you ever want to get it, yeah. So let's say this: if you ever want to have just a laugh of how bad a stream can go, and that typically goes well, go watch
There you
Saturday's show.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
have a laugh on my expense. I'm okay with
Happens
it.
to the best of us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But how you been, man? How's your week? Still busy? Still crazy as
So
usual?
like again, every week I feel like saying, "Man, this week was the longest month of my life," and it just keeps managing to be a true statement. So it seems like we went the entire summer just full on sprint,
Yeah.
where usually we've got downtime over the summer, and man, it's really
It's
good stuff. But when you've got so much of it, it's a
it's
bit,
it
yeah,
starts stacking up, and for me the biggest challenge, at least for me this week, is it's hitting me on both sides, like day job, school, and then obviously my son started elementary school, trying to figure out the routine there, trying to go drop off, pick up, because we can't walk to school anymore. And that just been like seriously, like consistently, just yeah. So yeah, long story short, it's been one long month of a week as usual. So yeah,
yep,
welcome back. I see Michael Peppertech with us here. Bradley's in here. Hey, hope you're doing well. And we have Halja Boy is
yeah.
in there as
We
well.
got a great crew in
Bionic.
here.
Oh, Scoop's in the chat. How you doing?
Scoop.
And we saw Barry. We saw
We
Farhan's
got
in there as well. And
Darren at the top, Ron Guido,
yeah.
Farhan,
Yeah.
Javier popped in before the stream even started. He's playing Warzone right now, so so Javier
We
might
need
not
to do.
be
I still say we
jumping
should do a
in.
Warzone stream, dude. I seriously,
Yeah,
one of these
I
days
I am
we'll just
awful
do.
at
We'll just. But
first
that's the
person
that's
shooters. You
dude.
get
No,
about 8 minutes of me playing before I like roll fall over my keyboard. It's gonna be
I will say
awesome.
this: if we ever want somebody to just carry the both of us in a game, that would be just us get Matt on the show, have him run the game, and we could just be commentating in the
Sure.
back, and it'll be just a
Yeah.
fun show, like a chill pajama party type of thing, like the one you do every month. At the end of the month, your relaxing podcast. This is like it'll be
I
that
mean,
mad.
if we wanna throw down on like some twin stick shooters or Tetris, I can actually compete.
Yeah,
But not so
we
much on
remember the
first and third
massacre of
person
Tetris.
shooters.
I remember the Tetris Mass Effect, that massacre.
Yeah.
DJ beat me. He jumped on and he kicked my butt. Like, come on.
I mean, that was not a good showing for you. I feel like you need to redeem yourself in the world of Tetris.
I think we need to
So
do that.
maybe
We
we
need to
do
set
need
it
to do
up.
another.
We do need to do another one, and we need to make sure to bring Mr. Cumberbatch back into the show so he can defend his reign title and something. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
hope you guys are having a good week. It's been an unpacked event for some of us. I will say, I would have.
So how
Okay,
much money did you give Samsung? Did you give Samsung all the monies?
I gave them about 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah. So
That's
it's
maybe like the least you've spent on
I
Samsung in
I
several unpacks.
well, yeah, and there's the reason behind. I also kind of debated it very heavily because I am I yeah, my wallet is hurting. It's hurting massively from things around the house that are obviously will always take priority over me buying devices.
Yeah.
So especially when I'll say this
In this economy.
in this economy where if I held this device for you on camera, and I don't think Sony would like this one because here it is. So
Oh,
if I
spare
held this
codes.
device in front of you and I say this is the Z Fold 4, would you be able to tell the difference?
Hmm.
I don't think so.
I don't think
And
many people could, but I think a few people in our I think a
I
few people in our chat
yeah, it's true. Yeah, yeah.
actually
We
know WTF they're talking about. Like
absolutely.
our viewers are more discerning than average
It's
tech
conspiracy.
enthusiasts.
Oh,
No, no,
absolutely,
no,
man.
no. People, I have the utter disdain for the tech enthusiasts who seem to want to be basic.
Yeah.
Like they want to be average
Consumer.
consumers,
No, I'm with you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but not anyone in this chat, because anyone in
No,
this chat would actually be able to say, oh, well, I think that's a fraction of a millimeter, a different aspect ratio.
and
So
it does.
obviously,
It looks like you're holding it slightly higher because it's actually lighter, right? Um, so yeah, I mean, so there was a couple of devices announced, actually a few devices announced, but two smartphones and or two foldables and a
hmm
watch and some headsets. Um, I will say I know I dropped money. It's obviously I'm not going to try to make it sound like I'm higher, but whatever. But the reality at the
hmm
end of the day, for me, what I saw was confusing. Um, I understand what the benefits are on the new Unpacked. So just kind of recapping, the Z Fold 4 was
sure.
announced, which is the 2022 edition foldable. It's their fourth edition foldable
hmm
for Samsung, and the pricing was roughly about the same what we saw last year. Minor spec changes overall. New SoC, slightly. Oh, sorry. Finally, a 50 megapixel camera as a primary shooter.
Yeah.
Although not S22 Ultra cameras. This is S20 Ultra, S22.
Though
So
I did see a few people saying like, "Oh, the Fold will now finally have ultra grade cameras," and you're like,
No, no. Samsung wouldn't do that. They would not
"No."
sell you a premium experience at a premium price and then give you a premium, specs. No, they stuck to their guns. This is why when I was holding it up, I'm kind of saying that it's for the most part very similar. It is not obviously a yearly upgrade. This is something maybe for a first generation fold, or even somebody maybe looking into getting into it. But the biggest thing that I got excited about it was the fact that it actually supports the 8 Plus Gen 1, not the 8 Gen 1, which meant to say performance should be a little bit better with not as much power draw. So that could be good. Um, and then, of
I
course,
mean, the big test is going to be Fold
can it
3
play?
to Fold 4.
Uh-huh.
Fold 3 battery life was not as good as Fold 2.
No. And
And
that's,
I still think that even though, because I want to give Qualcomm credit, the 8 Plus
Mhm.
Gen 1 is a beautiful refinement of a very thirsty chip. But the 8 Plus Gen 1
You say
is
that as I'm drinking
still,
water. That's funny.
yeah,
Sorry. Keep going.
thirsty.
Thirsty. I'm
TK
like,
is just as thirsty as a Qualcomm. But the 8 Plus Gen 1 is
yeah.
still an 8 Gen 1.
No,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
keeping the same battery capacity, I'm curious to see, do the refinements of the 8 Plus Gen 1
I forgot I
catch
had.
us up to or surpass the 888? That's gonna be a pretty tough test.
If I don't want to misstate because if I do misstate, I'm definitely going to be messing myself. The Yep, you're right. The battery. That's right. The battery on the Z
Exact same
Flip
battery
is the one. Yeah,
capacity.
yeah. The Flip is the one. I
The
remembered one
flip,
of them got a battery increase. It was
again,
the
just
Flip.
like last year, I
Yeah.
feel like the argument for the Flip makes more sense for the target markets of people who want fashion accessories, the
Oh, absolutely.
statement phone crowd. I know
Yep.
they're trying to make it sound like you can totally be a vlogger because of flex mode. No one's using a Z Flip for serious vlogging. Don't even try
Camcorder
and
mode.
pretend that that's a thing.
Seriously, their mode is
No,
camcorder mode.
no.
It's the
Now, I
same
mean,
phone.
unless you want to give me the form factor of that old like Nokia that like flipped out and actually
Oh,
had the camera in
yeah,
the hinge.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Samsung, do that. Do something radical like that. I'm
Innovative.
totally down. I will call it camcorder mode if it actually looks like a camcorder. But Z Flip to me continues to make more sense as a consumer focused device. They're making
Mhm.
fewer extravagant claims. I think it's more familiar. People understand this sort of pocket watch concept that expands to be a
Absolutely.
normal sort of phone
Yeah, yeah.
experience. And I don't want to sound like I'm a Verge article, but unless you're an enthusiast that is really trying to drive these things to laptop like use, the folding tablet that turns into an awkward phone has a tougher challenge with consumers out there. You need to do more work to educate consumers on what they can do with it. So the
Yeah.
Fold 4 feels grossly underwhelming for being so close to the Fold 3, which was so close to the Fold 2. And unless we see some stunning optimization on that 8 Plus Gen 1, then we're going to be into our our second generation of downgrades from the
So
Fold 2 when it comes to things like
I
battery
feel
life.
like that's the streak that we'll be go. I mean, this is pretty much consistent to what we saw with the S22 series, right? It's not an innovation. It's more of I keep wanting to say the word complacency, but essentially is they're just comfortable where they are. They didn't feel like they needed to do anything.
And they shouldn't be comfortable. Their
No,
their their premium
they
business is getting eaten for lunch.
I don't think they realized that Xiaomi was really. I mean, I don't. So obviously, we know Xiaomi purposely made the announcement of the Xiaomi Fold Mix 2.
Tell
Literally,
me
like,
that thing doesn't look
oh my god,
amazing.
that is so sexy. That is such a sexy.
What we have to get to that properly. Let's
Oh my
finish with
god, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Samsung
It's like
because there's not a
I
lot that we're really going to
there isn't light,
contribute.
so yeah, we could just skip through it. Okay, so Flip Fold 4. No, the Flip got a little
And
bit
scene.
steam and see. Moving on. So now let's talk about Xiaomi. Yeah. Um, okay, so so there was really not much to be excited over. Like, there's no real innovation going on this year. What we saw was essentially a an updated watch, a new earbuds that are touting 24-bit audio, which I read somewhere from Brandon saying basically this is like BS because going and saying wireless audio with 24-bit is not realistic,
We,
and the
we can
fact that
dig in. We can dig into
we
that. I
can
mean,
do
I
that as
appreciate
well.
what Brandon was saying there.
Yeah, and
But
that's why I wanted. I wanted to bounce
let's
that off of.
save the nerd vomit from Juan until we're getting towards the end of this because he made some great points.
Okay,
Brandon, this is Tech Today. That's his channel.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
Tech Today.
No, you're Tech Today, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
I can't
Brandon Lee.
remember what his channel is. Someone please post his
Please
channel
correct.
in the
Yeah, yeah,
chat
yeah.
because
If you
I
don't
am
mind,
absolutely getting it wrong.
it's gonna
He
sound
made some
real bad,
excellent
Brandon.
points
Sorry,
about
Brandon.
marketing.
Yeah,
But there are some things that I still value in terms of an audiophile experience that Bluetooth can catch up on, but I don't like what Samsung's doing. No big surprise. We'll cover that in just a bit.
yeah.
This
No,
is
no.
Tech Today. Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
El
yeah.
Jefe. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah,
Thank you.
for
Thanks,
sure.
Jeff. So we'll
And
get to
actually,
that.
Jeff is another one
Oh, I
who
was
I'm
gonna
sure
say
has some thoughts on
we could
Galaxy
just turn.
Buds.
Yeah, we could definitely get some input there. So the fold, so like I said, so the fold for the most part aesthetically looks very much the same. Same display on the outside, same for the most part. All of, with the exception of maybe again minor tweaks and hopefully some benefits from the 8 Plus Gen 1. We're really not
Yeah.
looking at a lot other than slightly thinner, slightly lighter, which almost nobody will notice. The weight
Yeah.
and the weight and slightly, the conform.
Making it slightly lighter, I don't know why Samsung is so risk averse to putting in an extra 5% battery capacity.
That would have been my
Anything?
thing. Increase the battery, keep the same size, and then that would have been a better situation. But they're choosing to make it so that it's. I mean, they realize it's a heavy device. It's not definitely heavy,
Yeah.
not a light one. But for the most part, though, most people that have used the Fold for the last 3 years are used to the form factor. It's not
Yeah.
like
You're not
we're not.
bringing in new customers by saying it's an
It's like,
ounce lighter,
yeah, no.
but it's a tablet. People understand that iPads are heavier than iPhones. Like,
Absolutely.
this is when I think I can trust consumers to not be complete knuckle draggers.
Yeah,
Like, they get it. I don't have any problems putting my Duo in someone's hands and them saying, like, wow, this is so thin, but it's heavier than I thought it would be. Interesting. It's like a tablet. I don't have to tell them anything. So, Samsung, give us a couple extra grams
of
of
actual
battery.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure our atrophied, COVID muscles can handle it.
I
It
think they
would
would
be
have.
good for us.
They would have
Just
had
lift some weights.
more of a positive because that is exactly what I'm going on with the Flip. I love the fact that they increased finally the size of the battery.
Yes.
That we're not stuck to a 3,300 milliampere. So that's
Who was it that posted? Someone. I think it might have been Michael.
mm-hmm. Michael
Or
Private.
was it?
Oh, hey, Aditya's in the chat. How you doing, Aditya? Hope you're doing
I'm
well.
sorry, I already lost it in the chat, but someone mentioned like, hey, I'm really just curious because now, oh, it was Farhan. Curious to see the Z Flip 4 battery performance since it has the same battery capacity as the vanilla S22. So the little S22 with
Two,
the 8 Gen
in
1,
one.
we
Would it?
should expect, I think we should expect around a 5 to 8% bump in just if you could use it exactly the same
Apples to
as the
apples. Exactly.
S22, but I
Hmm.
think the Flip is actually going to do even better than that because so
Because
many of your interactions with the Flip are with the Flip closed. I think the Flip is
absolutely,
going to murk the
it's gonna.
S22.
No, no, no. The Flip is gonna flip it, my friend. It's gonna flip it on its back. You know what I mean? Exactly. So Samsung got it. Price point on the Flip is pretty much the same. Really didn't get much on the difference there. Slightly better display. It's a more of adaptive display, but not a lot of nothing that
Which
I
again
think
is another advantage over the S22.
it's again.
Samsung lied about the S22 screen. They
We all
better get it
remember.
right on the Flip.
Well, let's hope they do. Actually, what I'm hoping, which I haven't heard anybody talk about, is will Dex be available? Will they finally give us Dex on the Flip? At $1,000, a phone where the S22 Plus has Dex, why would the Flip not have it? Why is this such a
I mean,
premium
I
experience?
I agree with you, but I really feel like this is Samsung's strategy to say we can make a premium tier device, and just like Xiaomi, we don't need to include premium features like video output. Again, I feel like they're looking at ways that they can save costs instead of making the truly better device that we know they can make. They're saving a little money on the USB. They're saving
Hmm.
a little bit of money on things like the camera stack, and ultimately they're trying to charge more for some of the same hardware that you would have found in a traditional slate phone. I get it because hinges should add a significant price to any
Oh,
phone. As soon as you make it bend, that's what you should expect. But
I'm
I
with
also
you.
feel if it's already premium,
Hmm.
give me a premium option that has all the goodies. But that's not really, I feel, what Samsung's gonna. That's not Samsung anymore. Samsung
No,
isn't
no, no, no.
looking to
Yeah,
compete through
Samsung's
that
not even
kind
trying to compete.
of.
No,
Yeah.
they're very much they're very much comfortable where they are, and they feel like they don't need to actually do anything. And at some point, this is going to be their problem, and this is where people are going to be able to surpass them. Because here's the weird thing about it: at CES, there wasn't a lot of buzz around it, but Samsung showcased some interesting foldable technologies, interesting displays, different rollables. Trifold, a whole bunch of different
Hmm.
devices that they showcased having better uh, uh, innovation, right? It's the technology that we're trying to see. What is the next level? Um, I'm with you also on the fact that a hinge should basically require a premium, but this is the fourth generation fold. This is the third generation flip, I think, right? Because I think the
Right.
flip we skipped one. Oh no, no, there was two
Yeah.
flips that were one was without, one with 5G.
Yeah.
They're counting them too. But by the fourth generation, the price should drop, and the especially since we're not reinventing the hinge. Okay, the hinge mechanism is pretty much the same. Everybody's primarily sticking to their guns. I think the price should have dropped more than just sticking around $1,000. I feel like this is something where, yeah. So the lack of TCL's presence, I think, maybe created a void for them not to be
Yeah.
too challenged, because
We had a
if
conversation
with
about this on
Chicago.
the Discord because,
Uh-huh.
like, Samsung Display is a very different entity than Samsung Consumer Electronics. Just like
Absolutely.
LG Display is
The Xiaomi,
practically
the
a
Fold 2 is
separate
using a Samsung
company.
display. So
Yeah. So Samsung Display is this sort of technological parts supplier, just like Samsung Semiconductor,
yeah,
right? The Samsung that sells you chips in your phone is not the same Samsung that assembles phones for you to buy. These are almost completely separate entities that just happen to exist under the same umbrella conglomerate.
exactly.
And when we look at that kind of breakdown, LG Display functions the same way. I mean, it was years ago at CES. I saw screen display concepts that were still way more advanced than the consumer products that are coming out today.
Yeah.
And same thing with TCL. TCL also exists as an ODM. So,
Hmm.
like a lot of those concepts that Samsung Display was showing off, TCL is looking to try and sell similar frames to other manufacturers. So if it's like a trifold, or if it's like a scrollable, or if it's like a
Yeah,
clamshell,
they
like
teased
the
us with
Z
that. We've
Flip.
seen exactly. Yeah, we've seen
Yeah,
multiple concepts from TCL. Yeah.
and they want to put another company's label on the product and then manufacture the hardware for that product.
Yeah, if it
So
works, it works. Why
it's
not?
just it's interesting to see because we get this kind of peak every now and
Hmm.
then. Lenovo was showing off bendy folding screens years ago. TCL, LG, and Samsung have all been
Oh,
showing off
even
flexible
Oppo
OLEDs.
last year had
That's right.
the
That's
Oppo
right. That's
X,
right.
right?
Oppo had a
The whole
concept
the
too.
roll, yeah, and the Oppo one, and that also kind of went out in the ether. We saw a foldable from Oppo, but it wasn't what they were demoing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't in the same realm. They realized maybe sticking to a clamshell is still the form factor they wanted.
Yeah.
Although I like what they did with it. So yeah,
Well, and at the same time, we got news on Motorola. Had a couple of people in chat, like Michael
I
Corcoran,
know.
saying
Yeah,
like the
yeah, yeah.
new Razor and
In China
like
only. I'm like, for now at least, like, what?
but this is very telling.
Ah, is there
Xiaomi
such a
sent us press
big?
releases,
I
but
saw.
like,
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna say.
no,
I'm pretty sure we got the same emails. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But what I'm saying is, Xiaomi sent us press releases. I mean, we have pretty good working relationships with Xiaomi for international devices, but not really for Chinese only
Yeah,
hardware. So
Chinese only,
obviously, we
sadly.
don't have Xiaomi foldables. But look at how many bleeding edge concepts are not coming to the United States. Moto isn't even going to try. The reception to their products has been so milquetoast. I don't blame
I
them at
I
all. All of
I
their money's
don't,
tied
but
up in mid rangers. Look at
yeah,
Oppo really reserving like the bleeding edge tech, and they're sending more advanced phones to India than what they'll send here to the United States.
hmm,
Again, like the United States is becoming the backwaters of consumer electronics, and Samsung is not helping lift that
no,
tide.
no.
We're not
We
lifting
have
those
such a
boats.
weird process of getting people, getting devices certified and on carriers and so on. Like the whole thing today, I was talking to Juan during the day, behind the show, obviously. Um, I'm dealing with some massive RCS issues on my S22 Ultra. Like this, I have never had this much issues with a Samsung device in a year. Connectivity issues, and now to topple the conversation going in with what T-Mobile's doing with it. I'm not saying T-Mobile specifically, and I want to be very specific about saying that RCS on T-Mobile devices does not work the same way as on RCS on devices that are unlocked. And what it means essentially is T-Mobile utilizes certain servers for RCS. They don't use Google services. And because of that, Juan and I haven't been able to talk for the last week. And my son and I can't send text
Nope.
messages because my phone is borked. So I have
Oh,
to.
your son totally isn't getting your text
Yeah,
messages.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah, but,
darn.
he could care less. He's at that point right now,
He
Omar, where
definitely
he's
hasn't
about
ghosted
Omar.
you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, for sure not. He
No.
always answers no. Um, the thing that drove me is so Juan and I usually we talk about the show. We're setting up stuff, trying to work out certain things in the background, and I'm like, for a couple of days, I was like, dude, what's wrong? Are you like, I thought Juan was ghosting me, and I was like, TK, just
You
he
know
sends
what
him.
you did, TK.
I know,
You know
yeah.
what you did.
I'm sorry, man. The check is in the mail, and I'm sorry for keeping the phone longer than I was
Wow.
saying. All I have to say though is the reality is though Samsung is so the way we have it in the States. Sorry to go back to that point that I was trying to prove. It's very hard for companies outside of the US to come in and sell devices to the US market. The US market is not what you think is as a simple process. Um, for them to get in, they have to conform to what T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon are offering. And even if you go with NVMOs, they're all utilizing the same technologies, right? So at the end of the day, even OnePlus, they make specific things done to their devices because of T-Mobile or AT&T want them. So what we see here is basically a very much closed, shielded area that very few companies can get in. OnePlus is in, Pixel is in, Motorola is in, and then we obviously now have Samsung and Apple. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's very small. And the problem is, yeah, Motorola sees that their sales are not going great because they only sold the phone on Verizon. They
Yeah.
gave in to that. If you only
But
put a device
again,
on one carrier, I
but
mean,
but again, it's you've got to play this completely circuitous game, and to get a deal on any carrier means if you're smaller that you have to sign some kind of exclusivity.
oh my God, and and
Like
and make super
look at OnePlus
customized
and
version.
T-Mobile,
Mhm.
Motorola and Verizon, or you've got to build a singular device for that carrier,
And TCL
like the
ended up going
OnePlus
that way.
phones.
No, no, I know,
Yeah,
but I was gonna say
TCL has been
TCL. This year's
but
TCL
TCL
is
has
bread and
been
butter.
doing that with low cost carriers though.
Yeah.
So
Oh
they
no, yeah.
have
Specifically
an
low cost. You're right.
army
Budget. Yeah.
of little molds of lower and less expensive devices, and they can just part swap, put a phone together, and then like send it out to a Boost Mobile.
Yeah.
Like
No, no,
that's
I'm with
that's
you.
exactly the machine that they can do.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Motorola really can't do that the
Not
same way as
anymore.
like
Yeah, I know.
HMD
Not
or TCL or
well.
another one
Not
of
not like the
these.
olden days. Yeah. Not at
Yeah,
the old Moto
but that's
days.
also but that's also why none of these phones get any kind of long lasting support. So it's like again, you
It's
got to
tough.
know you're going to get a cheap phone, but if it gets updates for a year, that's kind of a victory.
No, I know. And most of them don't even, like you said, they don't guarantee that. So the long story is short is I mean, I want to say I'm confused. I don't I mean, I understand it, but
Yeah.
I'm still confused because it's like watching oh my god, it's like going to a candy store, looking at all the candy, knowing how tasty those
Hmm.
things are, and
Hmm.
walking right out because
Yep.
that's what we're doing. And
You got to do some fun window shopping.
apps of flipping folding windows shopping. But so
Right.
the example would be also like when the 12s Ultra came out from Xiaomi, you put your money down and you actually picked up your own device because that was literally the only way for you to be able to get that device in your hand
Yeah.
and test it out. And a lot of creators did as well, and a lot of creators are doing that as well. So I'm kind of almost tempted to like really understand, does Xiaomi and other companies that put out these amazing devices and never bring them to the international market, what's the benefit for them? Because all
Oh,
you're telling,
it's no, no. I mean, I actually now having used the 12S Ultra for a little while, to me
yeah, yeah,
this is local national pride. What you're doing is you're creating a Halo product for your most exclusive company customers on your home turf, and you're going to use them as advocates and brand
hmm,
visibility. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's just like what we do with Apple here. For some reason, there is a quality to Apple products that people like to showcase as if it's something special when it's really a commodity device.
hmm,
But
yeah, yeah,
in China, they are building a tiny number, but compared to all of the phones that Xiaomi sells, they are building a tiny number of these ultras
hmm,
only for their most diehard customers and fans, and that they will live in China to be sort of like the most exciting products. Again, like I love you go into a GM dealer and you lust over this Corvette, this new mid-engine supercar, but like you're probably going to drive out with like a Chevy Bolt. Like
oh,
you're not going to leave the dealership with the Corvette, but the Corvette is a Halo
snap right
product
back
for
into reality,
GM,
my friend. Yeah,
even though
I'm with you.
they sell one Corvette for every 1,000 other
Oh,
mainstream cars and
absolutely.
trucks
But
that
the
they sell.
Corvette is in the front yard. The Corvette is the one that gets cleaned every single day. No, no,
Yeah.
I totally understand that. My one thing would be is, um, with the understanding that it is a Chinese only device. The reason I say this specifically is the Find N that I got is a Chinese only device from Oppo, but Oppo was a little bit more willing to allow the international media to provide some coverage on it, even though, again, as you said, it's a flagship device for their market and it's intended to stay there. So
Hmm.
at the end of the day, we'll talk a little bit more, but the fold mixed sorry the Xiaomi fold sorry the Xiaomi mix
Me
fold the
something.
no, no more me. They always go. So it's Xiaomi Mix Fold
Oh,
2.
that's right.
I think
That's right.
that's what it.
Xiaomi Mix Fold
Yeah,
2.
the
That's right.
me kind of got. That's like 2020, man. What's on, man?
It's not about me anymore.
Not about you. Not about me. No. I love it. The device. I mean, just the fact that they have Leica in there, like other companies are
Mhm.
truly trying to push the camera experience on a foldable to make it, equivalent to the luxury item that you're picking up. It's more so like even Huawei does more on on their foldable devices, and I'm hoping to
Yeah.
be able to check those out at IFA in another few weeks. So there's a little bit of things kind of going on. Um, but yeah, so just to kind of get Samsung, I feel like I want to get over the Samsung block because I keep leaving and
Yeah, we
coming
keep
back.
getting
The
distracted. We keep
Xiaomi
wanting to talk
mix.
about things other than Samsung.
It is.
I don't
So
know
there.
about you. Hold on. In talking
Okay.
about Samsung, I would just like to highlight how few people were talking about Samsung.
I,
Unpacked event, two of Samsung's Halo products. They are
yeah.
trying to convince people aggressively that folding, bending plastic screens are the future.
Yeah, yeah.
These are the statement products. This is like the bleeding edge of Samsung R&D. I barely saw Samsung Unpacked as a trending topic on Twitter.
No,
My
no.
YouTube feed was not completely decimated. Like, I had other videos peeking through from some of like my movie channels and horror channels and ARG channels. Like, in years past, a Samsung Unpacked would have just been no go on YouTube
Yeah.
for an entire day. And after a brief period of reviewers saying, sharing which phones that they were going to try and purchase, and the Samsung purchasing site going down hard, not being able to keep up with a much more limited demand.
I was like, how?
This
Yeah, that to
topic
me, I
has
was like,
already
how did that make sense?
eclipsed.
Yeah, the device is like almost $2,000 after tax if you really kind of factor that in, even if you do trade-ins or whatever. About the only thing that I would probably say, and if anybody's even thinking about picking up the Zfold, the Z Flip 4, not the Fold, and please thank me later if you decide to do this. Samsung is doing this interesting thing. They're giving out $900 for the Z Flip 3 as a trade-in. Not
Hmm.
that bad of a deal. Reasonable.
Pretty good.
It's a year-old phone, sold for $1,000. They're getting a $900. Think about the benefit there.
Hmm.
That phone sells for $500 on Amazon.
Yep.
You can pick up a $500 phone off of Amazon, trading that sucker in, paid $100 or more, and you just got yourself a Z Flip 4 for $600.
Yep.
I'm just saying, if you're looking to save some money, that's the thing.
You probably find them even cheaper if you
Oh,
wanted
totally.
to try
No,
and
no, no,
scout
totally.
some swappa
If you
and
try to
stuff.
maybe
But
absolutely, you can find one that's in decent shape and whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, this is Samsung inflating the value of a device. The Z Flip 3 is not the $900 device. It is not.
nope.
I'm happy that
And
they're offering it, but it's not. It's a
and this
$500 phone
also, again, I can't understand how this
because
will
their foldables
continue to be
crash. The value of
sustainable.
their devices are so down. It's
They
like,
plummet.
yeah, and
So that also means they're not really making the MSRP, the padding, the profits on these products that they're hoping to make.
yeah, yeah.
And I know they've got an enormous they're the economy of a small country all by themselves. So you can subsidize this to a certain degree, but they're
Jeff
not
has,
really
by the way,
winning
Jeff
this
got me on
fight.
that. Yeah. So Jeff's like, I know a few people who do that. I'm just saying,
For
if you
sure.
want to save some money, that's the way to go. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry, sir.
But it's starting to get silly because then also your expectation is, if I want the absolute best deal to trade in my old Samsung, or even not even my old Samsung, just my older Samsung for a
Yeah, yeah.
newer Samsung,
Mm-hmm.
I am never going to scratch the surface of the promise that they make on long-term software support.
Yeah.
So if you're really in the Samsung ecosystem and you know that if you try to keep that phone out for 3 years, your trade-in values are going to be decimated. Your resale value is nuked
Oh my
by
gosh.
Samsung. Samsung
Yeah.
is the one that is leading the charge on this hyperinflated trade-in value and wrecking the used market for their own phones. And they have these ridiculous sales that further wreck the used pricing if you buy early.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, people pretend that it's like such a great promise that you're going to get 4 years of software. But the people most aggressively in the Samsung ecosystem shouldn't be taking advantage of the longer software if they want the best deals on trade-ins. It's completely upside down, and Samsung, I feel, is floundering for a long-term strategy that returns the cachet of the brand. There's no value here. There's no excitement with other consumers. It's just another Android that's going to be looked at as a poor person phone against an iPhone.
Yeah.
No one looks at a Galaxy and goes, oh, is that the new Galaxy? You must be wealthy. Like that does not happen. And it doesn't matter if it flips or it bends or it folds or if it's an Ultra or
Are
anything
you
else.
saying I'm not cool because I have the S22? Is that what you're saying, Juan? After all
I'm
these
I'm
years of knowing
saying
each other, is that
I'm
this is how
saying
it goes down?
you're not cool
Oh,
because you have an Ultra. I'm saying you're cool
it's not an Ultra
despite
though.
you
This
having
is
an Ultra.
no. So just for reference, um, I've been on a streak of not buying carrier version devices for the
Yeah.
longest time. And from day one, dude, seriously, from day one, Nothing against, I'm not trying to make a statement against T-Mobile. This is not T-Mobile that I'm speaking to about. It's a carrier version of the phone. That's what I'm specifically talking about, because it's going to sound like I'm talking about T-Mobile. The
Sure.
device I decided to pick up was $200 off because the carrier was that cheap, and I happened to use that carrier. I have had such a, like, oh my god, like so many concerns and issues, and like I appreciate the fact that I have larger storage on this device and the cameras are
Mhm.
very nice. I do appreciate that. I'm not denying what the device can do, but connectivity issues, RCS issues, slowdowns, still
Yeah.
One UI compatibility with third-party launchers. I have consistently had to kind of maneuver around it. I don't understand why. And then to find
I mean,
out
you
that,
must be
again,
doing something wrong, TK, because my TouchWiz never lags. It never lags.
well, maybe we should go back to touch. No, and not only that, even One UI 5.0 seems like it's a minor update over 4. Long story is,
Do
I
you know what I
will
want to
not
give
do
them a
that
little
again,
credit? Looking
please.
at like really digging deep into the One UI. Anyone who is a fan of decks, I need you to go to your desk, like if you have a little like student desk or a writing desk, and pull out your nicest stationery. And I need you to write a loving and earnest letter of thanks to Motorola. Because if you're a fan of decks, the newest updates to One UI 5 will start to include a few more quality of life improvements that came first in
I'm
Moto
ready
Ready
for it.
4.
Oh my, ready
You did
for
not get those
so
because Samsung is awesome. You
no.
only got those because Samsung saw a glimmer of competition from Motorola and a few people talking about, why can't my super expensive $1,300 phone put out a 4K image through the USB HDMI? How come I
Oh my
can't
god.
stream 4K from an Ultra Samsung, but I can from a
I
Moto?
never, yeah.
And it was only that embarrassment of Motorola beating them to the punch that
But
is giving you any improvement to Samsung DeX.
and I
I'm
think
not
this is
saying
what's
don't
going to
stop
happen.
using DeX. I'm saying credit where credit's
It's
due.
due.
It wasn't Samsung, it was Moto. So
Wasn't
send them
Sammy.
a nice letter.
Absolutely.
It's
Dear
the least
dear
you could do.
dear Dex.
If not buying one of their phones, the least you could do is at
No,
least say,
it's that.
thank you. You made my product better when Samsung really hasn't in years.
And I think this is the concern. But anyways, to kind of summarize Unpacked, I want to, again, I want to move on. I like we literally could make the whole thing on it.
I know.
So the watches that came out are Bluetooth watches. There's just a slight update over last year, still running Wear OS. There's a titanium. They're not using the classic title anymore. They went with 5 and 5 Pro. And there's also no LTE edition that I saw. All I saw was basically Bluetooth connections. So my 4 classic from last year is still technically a much more badass watch than what we saw this year. But I digress. Their watches, if you like them, they look really good. They obviously are running Wear OS. We have 3.0.
I mean, it's interesting. Like, I don't think anyone was really anxious about, like, are we going to get more processing power? Because I believe it's using the same Exynos that the Pixel
Yeah,
Watch and the Watch 4 is using, right?
I'm trying to, like I'm bringing up my notes. Like, hold
No,
on
I
a
mean,
second.
without digging through the notes. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
if
No,
not,
sorry.
it's going to be pretty similar. But what I think is actually going to be an
No,
expert.
it's the
It sucks
exact
losing
same
the
processor.
bezel.
It's the Exynos W920. It's the
Okay.
same processor.
It
We're not getting
it
more.
sucks losing the dial,
Hmm.
your little rotating bezel,
So that's,
but I'll
yeah.
trade the bezel for a bigger battery. That's really one of the things that's
So
going to make living with
for
a
that,
watch
so
nicer.
yeah, for that with the classic, because the classic, so that would be my only thing about it that I liked about it, is the fact that you said the battery, and the fact that, because on the LTE model that I got, or the 4G LTE model that I have with the classic watch, yeah, the battery sucks. Especially if your Bluetooth connection with your phone is not super strong and you drop off the Bluetooth and it has to switch over to LTE, you just start seeing that
Hmm.
straight down. But either way, I think I like the titanium. It kind of has a little bit,
Yeah,
if I
it's
might
cool.
say, homage to the titanium edition that we had with Huawei back in the day, the classic Huawei watch back in the
I
day.
think it's interesting that like the casing itself though looks very much like a TicWatch E3 now.
A little
It's
bit.
flatter, it's more
It's
cylindrical,
exactly. Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
kind of that
yeah.
harder lined look, and I kind of miss like the old Frontier,
So
the
that's it.
Galaxy Watch
The
Frontier
frontier.
watch.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was the last time I felt like where it looked. It was trying to drive that the realistic look of a watch, and that's what, like I said, with the Classic 4, I like the fact that we went back to the bezel as opposed to a digital, kind of spin. Which, it's not that it's bad. It's the mechanical feel of that was always nice.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about the audio, since I feel like a lot of people are going to be interested
Oh,
about
sure.
that. The
So
Buds,
and
go ahead.
but Buds Pro, and again,
Buds 2 Pro,
if
yeah,
Jeff
sorry.
wants to correct me here in the chat, but Brandon, I don't know if we can pull up if you can find his tweets or if it's even worth digging in.
I
But
like
Brandon
this.
was bringing up.
But I digress.
Oliver,
I'm like,
see,
no, hold on, no, no.
I'm definitely my when I say I digress, it wasn't so much a digression as it was a calculated, snarky
God.
kind of
Oh my God.
smug
Yeah, yeah,
moment from me that I'm acknowledging took us off in another direction. So
yeah, yeah,
TK is
yeah,
much more earnest and
yeah.
genuine when he goes off on a tangent. I'm usually doing it with some kind of agenda in mind.
Oh man, thank you, thank you. Sorry.
So the Brandon, great Twitter thread
Yeah,
talking about some of these claims. I am for any consumer electronics company that is trying to improve the situation of Bluetooth audio. Bluetooth
absolutely.
is not a very good connection standard for consistently streaming and sharing larger quantities of data. So we've done some very incredible things over the generations of Bluetooth,
Hmm.
and with smarter compression and codecs and the ability to squeeze more information into a tinier package that can then get unpacked in your ears. This is all remarkable stuff. Brandon's bringing up a point where Samsung making these bold claims about 24-bit audio in these new earbuds, revolutionary amazeballs sound.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool, but Brandon is correct that just 24-bit audio doesn't tell you anything
No,
really about
no. It's
sound
it, it's
quality
it's such a small piece in the equation of audio to your ears from the thing.
and bits. And this is where I really appreciated Brandon got pretty technical. I'm not going to get as technical here when it comes to the acoustic physics of data compression and the acoustic physics of actual sound. But when we talk about 24-bit audio, generally, and I'm grossly oversimplifying, what we're actually talking about is like loudness. When we go from 16-bit to 24-bit audio, that lowers our noise floor and increases our upper range. And
Hmm.
really, that range of audio isn't experienced much by the human ear. The loudness is well above what we would consider safe listening, and the noise floor is so low. Even if you had golden ears, we wouldn't necessarily be able to hear it. I don't get excited about 24-bit audio for 24 bits. I get excited because 24-bit audio often comes with higher sampling rates and
Okay.
frequency response rates and the ability to hear more sonic information and to include sonic information beyond the range of human hearing.
Yeah.
I am enough of a nerd that I believe even when it creates additional distortion, the information that we really captured out in 2496 or
Hmm.
24192,
Hmm.
that extra information way out in the frequency response does influence the sound that we can hear. Literally, just sound waves bouncing around in a space or sound waves bouncing around in your skull.
Hmm.
I believe we can capture a truer representation of what that might have sounded like, even when it creates additional distortion. But the reason why I get excited about 24-bit is because it's extremely uncommon to record 16-bit 96 kilohertz.
Okay.
I've never seen
It's typically,
16-bit
yeah,
192. So usually you only link those with
20,
24-bit audio
24 and
or
96. Yeah.
32-bit audio. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it depends if you use, so at that point you're going into an actual DAC, like a USB-C type
For sure.
DAC experience to be able to
And
get the
I've
audio.
got my
Yeah,
THX right in front of me. I
absolutely.
loved LG quad docks. So part of what's crappy about earbuds, I cannot verify that we're really hearing all of the information that these companies claim are sending to the earbuds because I can't record samples of the
From them.
earbuds in a way that would really detail what they're capable of producing. I have very low expectations on Galaxy Buds being audiophile grade listening
Oh,
experiences.
absolutely. Yeah,
And
no, no.
then,
Yeah.
last point, we get to the very end of this, and it's a proprietary Samsung
Showing
communication
Kodak.
standard
Yeah.
that enables this advanced codec. And they're
Which,
trying to beat Apple to the punch,
well,
and this is why I hate ecosystem.
oh my God.
You could
Yeah.
do LDAC, you could do LHDC, you could do aptX adaptive, you could license a technology, you could create a standard that then you share with other companies and other manufacturers, but making it a proprietary Galaxy phone to Galaxy earbuds
But yeah.
makes this even more complicated for consumers. I've got now Snapdragon earbuds that don't completely work with the Pixel. I've got LHDC solutions that primarily work best with Chinese phones. I've got LDAC. LDAC is now becoming the standard because
Yeah.
Sony's saying, like, yeah, use it.
Yeah.
Go use it. And Samsung could have pulled the Sony route, but they didn't. And now we're stuck with yet another pair of earbuds that are going to have a poorer experience if you ever decide to switch your phone. Ecosystem is lock in. Ecosystem is almost never a long term consumer benefit. And that
Yeah.
pisses me off that we've let Apple color the conversation on you
Locking
accept
you in.
what we give you. Now
Yep.
you're locked in. And if you ever try to leave, it's going to be painful for you to get all of the pieces collected that are going to work somewhere else.
Yep.
And Samsung is trying to copy that sort of strategy.
Absolutely, man. They're not even hiding it. They're just basically just flat out just looking at the Apple playbook and just like, okay, we're taking this page this week, and so that was the biggest thing. And then of course they don't mention all of the subsidy and the little detail, the fine detail of, you know. 24-bit only on Samsung devices, and oh, by the way, it'll probably be the flagships of 2022 probably forward, because it's probably
Yeah.
relying on Bluetooth LE 5.3. So there's a whole bunch of things coming up that are, yeah, man, it just makes it weird. It really just makes the experience weird. And the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, I mean, buds are good. You do need, we all have wireless buds now. We've all accepted the fact that wired solutions are few and far apart. So, Sony obviously still holding it, using third-party USB DACs and stuff like that are going to be
Mm-hmm.
the solutions to get the great audio. But buds are going to be the thing. We have the Pixel coming into those, the Pixel Buds Pro coming in there. There's a few other things coming
Yeah.
up. But honestly, so yeah, like now kind of like going through the whole, roster of announcements, very little of the announcements got me excited. I was a little bit more excited, honestly, on the watch, primarily because the battery is going to be
Yeah.
a lot better and last longer.
Like literally just giving me a bigger battery does
Yeah.
contribute to a consumer experience.
No,
and
exactly. Yeah, no, it
maybe
contributes
that's all it needed to be.
factual benefits of being able to use your watch more than 2 days and just go that extra, the little bit
sure.
longer. Go away for a
I just
weekend or
want
something.
to highlight this here from Jeff. He says, agreed. This is why I personally prefer third-party audio solutions from brands outside of Samsung, Apple, OnePlus. The only reason I want to pick on you, Jeff, is when the OnePlus Buds Pro came out, the best listening experience with those buds was connecting them to a Xiaomi phone.
Oh my God, no, you're mixing things. Don't do that.
LHDC support wasn't
Yeah.
on the OnePlus 9 or OnePlus 10 for a couple of updates until after those buds came out.
Yeah, the
you
buds
got
came
the
slightly
best
early.
possible experience on
a
Mi
Xiaomi.
phones, on the Mi 11. So
Yeah.
again, it's like even when OnePlus tries to do lock-in, they actually enriched a competitor's product with their own accessories and earbuds. So I don't think Samsung's going to be quite so clumsy. I think they're going to have that on lock, where OnePlus was like, oops, I guess our earbuds beat our phone updates.
I'll say this: the audio solution from OnePlus and Oppo for them within this year has been phenomenal. My favorite
been
audio
pretty good.
earbuds to use, if I'm using an Oppo, I'll switch over to the Oppo Enco buds, the Enco 2, and then of course with OnePlus 10, I've been using basically the OnePlus Buds Pro. They've been great. They're seriously like
Yeah.
one of my favorite buds. Third party solution, a little bit with Jeff on that one. Soundcore is actually I'm a little bit more leaning towards. I feel they've been really.
I like
trying to-
Soundcore, but I'm not a Rumble junkie. And
well, so but that's the thing. It's,
yeah.
for me, so I'm with you. The tuning is typically done very, more into dancing and basically over amplifying the mids and lows to give you more of that bassy, the bouncing, your ears drums are basically at a club. But there's some of the other solutions can also be tuned if you can tune them a little better to get some better audio experiences. Their Q30, I think last year that they released, the over the ear, were also pretty comparable to my Sony's.
Pretty good.
So the reason I like them is because their experience and what they offer and the audio quality that they keep improving. But other companies like Sennheiser also provides really good experiences that I really like their solutions when it comes down to audio.
Yeah. I
One
really
more
need
is
to try those new Momentums. They look pretty solid.
yeah. So, but that's the thing. The reason why I feel like those are the better solutions. But then you also have to keep in mind, like last year with the S21 Ultra, I couldn't listen to LDAC because Samsung wouldn't let me turn on LDAC.
Mm-hmm.
LDAC did not work. We needed the
Yep.
S22 Ultra to get LDAC because apparently that's the benefit there.
And
So
and that was such a pain because Sony actually included that in AOSP by contributing to AOSP, and it was
AOSP, yeah.
Samsung. It wasn't
Well,
LDAC.
no, it
Again,
was
people are saying, "Oh,
purposely
LDAC doesn't work." No, LDAC does
that
work.
does work.
Samsung broke LDAC. On my side, it's definitely been One Mores. The new One More Evos have been great,
Yeah.
and I keep coming back. These Bear Dynamics are pretty nice. So
Dude,
on
ever
top
since
of that, Out Sound.
Snapdragon Sound with Bear Dynamic, man, is like, oh my god. But yeah, no,
It's pretty good.
oh my
So
god.
so now I've got the OW sound. So I've got that neckband with the planar drivers,
Yeah, I
the
remember.
planar dual, dual planar and dynamic drivers, and then I've got one more dual drivers, and I've got the Bear Dynamic Freebirds, and like, yeah, I don't need to buy a first party earbud. I'm still
Yeah.
gonna at some point when I can dig out of the hole of reviewing gear that I've got currently on my desk, I am gonna circle back to the Pixel Buds. I'm interested, but in terms of sound quality and the tuning that I prefer, I've got a trio of solutions that are rocking my socks right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I gotta see what else some of these other solutions can offer. But man, it's pretty nice. And
It
if I ever want to
absolutely.
go nicer, I can like dig out my FIO and some like studio monitors or
Did you ever pick up
like
a Q4, or are you
Odysseys.
still? Or did you get your Q? I thought you remember you told me it was.
Oh, the Q4? No, I haven't. The,
Yeah,
the one that
it's still
I
unpackable.
really want is the new BTR,
Oh,
which I
okay. Yeah.
think is still kind of on back order. Like it's officially able to be purchased now,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's not really shipping to the United States for a couple more weeks. That BTR 7 looks stunning, and I need it, and I must have it. And I've been like doing grabby hands in a very undignified manner to
And
my FIO PR rep.
you're scaring Nvidia, man. Don't do that. Don't ever do this. It's. I mean, it's not Sony. Sony would be like, okay, yours is like fluctuating all over the place. I'm
Yeah,
like, no.
yeah. No, it's brutal. I need it. I need
No, no.
it.
I'm with you. I'm
So,
with you.
so Xiaomi also introduced a foldable, and I would like to say, well done, Xiaomi, on designing a hinge that doesn't create a god awful crease.
Or a gap. No, I mean the
Yeah,
reality at the end of
it's
the day,
progress.
it is. That's what I'm trying to say, though. It's the progress that we want to see year over year, especially with a foldable at $1,800, or the pricing that we're
Yeah,
in.
it's going
You
to be a
need to see
$2,000
substantial.
slate.
Oh,
Sure.
absolutely. No, no. It's somewhere. So actually, it's a little bit cheaper. The low end model of it goes somewhere around $1,333, all the way up to $1,733. They technically are offering a slightly cheaper model that would be it's just less storage and RAM. That's basically what the main configuration. But the mechanism with the hinge and everything, this is obviously retail, not markup. And if you're going to buy it through third party and all of that stuff, so please don't obviously take that with a grain of salt. It still is technically slightly cheaper than what the Z Fold is as an entry level. But of course, when you put them neck and neck, they're both expensive phones. They're not going to be cheap, but it is progress. It is technology, and it's innovation in the foldable space that we want to see. And because they don't come to the US, Samsung is not really, they don't need to. They just don't. They
Yeah,
just, like you said.
they're not really bothered, but they're also not going to do well internationally in markets where they've traditionally struggled.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. These
Like,
foldables
tell
are
me what
not are
presence Samsung has in China. I mean, I know they've given up on ever trying to crack China, but like, the entire surrounding Asia Pacific area is basically up for grabs, and Samsung doesn't seem much interested in trying to
and
outpace
I mean,
Vivo or Xiaomi.
I was gonna say Apple at least is trying.
Yeah,
Trying to. We can say at
they're
least Apple's
marketing like
trying.
crazy in those
Yeah, yeah.
areas.
No, no, absolutely. And it's realistically just yeah. It's a confusing story. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying this at the same time of saying that I put money down to get the Z Fold 4. knowing quite well that this is not going to be it's not this is not what the oh my god kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to deny the fact that I did buy the Fold 3. I did enjoy using it. I don't prefer the full form factor over the Find N, and I really want to know why is OnePlus not bringing a Find N style device. There's been rumors going around, a whole bunch of rumors saying that, look, Oppo doesn't sell in the US, OnePlus does. So if
Hmm.
Oppo has a Find N and the Find N does well, vis-a-vis, magic, back and forth, all that good stuff, OnePlus should be able to do something like that for us in the US market. And they would be the right channel to break it. Because once that happens, Samsung surprisingly will wake up. And they'll be like, oh, but
I
we have
mean,
6
they
different
won't
foldables.
though.
No, I mean, well, you know what I mean. No, I know. What I'm saying is, it's the hint of
I'm so
competition in the
bitter. It's like,
market
come
here.
on.
Come on, DK.
Here, I just want to screen share this real quick. This is Fudzilla of all places had some of the better PR, the press images. So let me share this here. So first of all, just impressive. When we look at the measurements here, we're getting really close to Duo territory. That's
That's sexiness, my
incredibly
friend. That is
slim.
sexy. Look how thin that thing is.
Not Duo 2. I think we are beating Duo 2. So we're in Duo 1 territory for panels that are just gorgeous and sleek. That
Oh my
means like
god.
when you fold it closed, this isn't really that much bigger than
Then
a traditional phone,
what I
like a
think, but
normal
that's
slate
the
phone.
goal, though, isn't it? Isn't it for it to function as like a regular phone when it's
Yes.
folded? Yes,
Yes.
it's
But then
supposed
I
to
also
be.
wanted to show this because you've got this
The
like
hinge.
Q-tip shape
Hmm.
to the inner display
It's kind of
that
like the
when
Find
you
N. Yeah.
unfurl this, you're going to have substantially less of the trench that I really can't look past on the Fold.
I
When
remember.
I like to put two apps
I
side by
remember.
side
I
in the
remember your video where we talked.
orientation,
You're like, I cannot unsee that. That is just right
I
there.
can't see around it.
Yeah.
Especially
No.
because it's plastic, so it's not a perfectly consistent line of a trench. The plastic subtly shifts across the length of the device, and as it's catching any light in my home, it is constantly putting curved glass glare right through the middle of the screen in the orientation that I prefer to have two apps side by side. One, I really feel like the fold, the hinge is 90 degrees wrong. It
It's in
should
the
fold the
absolute the
other
other way.
direction.
Exactly.
But if you can do this, and I mean, I think this is one of the benefits of the Oppo, and it
Hmm.
looks like Xiaomi is doing this even more dramatically, is if you can bend the plastic internally so that it doesn't crimp as tightly, you will have less of a trench when you open it back up. So I'm going to be critically interested in seeing what Xiaomi can do here because this looks like the evolution of the idea that Samsung refused to give us. The Fold 4 is basically a Fold 3 with a couple tweaks.
Minor.
This looks like
Yeah.
what a Fold 4
Should have
should have been if
or should have
Samsung were
aspired to
really
be.
committing
Aspired to
to
be.
the
Yeah.
R&D
Exactly.
spending.
Well, and not only that though, but if you think about the fact that reality, I realize. So we said this before, where we're saying, look, Samsung displays is not Samsung mobile, and it's vice versa kind of a conversation. Uh,
Yep.
this device
Samsung
is
Display can
it's
do
running a
better
Samsung.
work.
I mean, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. This foldable is featuring Samsung's technology, and it's outdoing its mobile department because the mobile department felt
Mhm.
like, I think we could just keep it the way. So long story short, I think with the conversation around the Xiaomi's technology, Oppo's technology, and some of the other foldable technologies that we're seeing on the market it begs to be said. There has to be a conversation around that. Um, I just right now I'm seriously I'm like in a weird situation. I'm like kind of debating. Did I make a mistake of going for the Fold 4? Should I just keep my Fold 3 or should I just sell my Fold 3? Because at the end of the day, like I really don't use it as much. Ever since I've gotten the Find N, the Fold 3 has been just sitting there. I
Yeah.
don't really use it. It's like not to say that I have too many foldables. I'm just saying, like from a form factor, if I want to take something
Right.
with me, would I rather take a phone that takes that much space and gives me the wrong form factor, and I always have to turn it, or go with a phone that gives me more workable surface area on the outside, 4G LTE in the US, and I mean 512 gigs of storage, everything that I've wanted out of the device. The only difference, obviously, is that I had to sideload Google services because it's not meant for the international market.
Right.
But it's to me.
But it's working.
Yeah, it does. No, no, it still works. It sits on my desk. I use it. Literally, it's one of my things where I prop it on my desk and I watch content on it because I love the form factor of it. When I'm editing and both of my displays are covered with with basically just content and so on, it's something that I appreciate. But I, I'll say this: OnePlus, if you're listening, please make this happen. Please make this happen in this 2022 realm. And if not 2022, don't get me wrong. 2023, alongside the 11 Pro, I'm with you. I'll be there and I'll spearhead the conversation with you. It's one of those things that we just realistically we are due for that. Every company and their mom are having a foldable, and the US has one, or okay, two from the same company.
Yeah.
Because Motorola's not there anymore, right? I know somebody's going to jump
Nope.
in and say, "But TK, there's Moto." No, it's
Well,
yeah. It
I mean, you
may.
can still technically buy a Moto, a second gen Moto Razor. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
I would still, because obviously I put out a video today.
Mm.
I still feel if you're talking about a device what folds to fit in your pocket, I
Ooh,
think
I'm
it's still
intrigued, my
okay to
friend.
occasionally mention that the duos exist. They fold, even though the screens don't bend. But no, in terms of bendy single screen devices, like, man, we're going to see the rest of the world completely lap us. And we're going to be sitting here looking at Samsung and they're going, like, oh, well, we're giving you the best that we want to give you. And then, like, again, like India is going to get a Vivo that is
And it's exciting.
two
It's
years
exciting to see
ahead.
how much Vivo focuses on the market. It's
No.
they go where where the money is. Don't get me wrong. I understand why Sony releases their phones first in China. Don't get me wrong. Does it bug me? Yes. Do I understand? Yes,
Hmm.
regrettably so. But you know what I mean, though. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you got to do you. You got to do the right what's right for the company. You got to try to help help the company grow. So that's how you can keep innovating. And I'm not going to say boutique style, but I mean seriously, like Sony to me really is such a fine wine that keeps getting better every
Yeah.
year, and I want them to continue
Well,
doing
we
that.
need
Like,
to spend an extra. I mean, like I teased my video out this afternoon, almost a year later, Duo 2. And if you think you know what a Duo can do, you're completely uninformed unless you've been following channels like Scary If Literal. And
okay.
actually, a number of people watching are
Mhm.
probably hip to Scary If Literal. But outside of
Yeah,
our commentators, you're it's sad the representation, the conversation that this gadget has gotten, because it has been astoundingly good after the last couple updates. Even though it's on Android
Microsoft.
11,
Yeah.
it is still capable of doing things that we're still yet to see in Android 13. Microsoft has been one of the best at keeping their devices up to date with like immediate security patches. They sometimes beat Samsung and Google to getting security patches out to their foldables,
Oh,
Duo
dude, don't,
1
yeah,
included.
don't get me on
This
carrier updates to devices, but yeah, sorry, yeah.
this has been stunning. And I really can't say enough nice things about a true stylus enabled productivity multitasking device. It is
Beast,
not a
beast.
good
It's a
device
productivity.
to put one video across both screens. That's obvious. But
Oh,
if
then it
you're like
sucks, man.
me,
Come on, yeah, it's a
and
hard pass. No video across two screens with no.
yeah, no, I'm telling people to walk away. But if you're that simple, you should just go get a $300 tablet. If you're like me and you constantly think in 2 to 3 apps all at the same time, then
Absolutely.
this is
The mul
absolutely
if
incredible.
you wanna actually get the benefit of multitasking that the companies tout all the time, all this horsepower to do a single operation at a time is
And Twitter still
crazy.
can't scroll smoothly on any Android phone.
Oh my god, that device is junk. No, I mean, seriously, if for anybody that's ever used a computer and you know that you can run 12 to 13, maybe 20 tabs in Chrome and open up multiple things, think of how much power you have in your pocket and the fact that these devices need to perform and do more. And I feel so where I like what the Defiant End brings in the approach, I love how the Duo does the approach to dual tasking, because this is again what LG was trying to give us with the LG, with the Wing and with the V60. It's really doubling down on dual displays. Microsoft with the Duo 2, like, although it was
Yeah.
a little bit of a weird step at the beginning, they kicked it into gear
Oh,
with the Duo 2. They not
oh,
only jumped over.
it
Yeah.
was clumsy, and let's
Oh,
say, I mean,
absolutely.
like,
We need to be
I,
honest.
I, I, oh, not even just honest. Like, let's be brutal. Um, Duo One really hasn't lived up to its full potential until I would
About
say the March update of 2022.
oh, man.
So a
Okay, yeah,
year
yeah.
and a half into its existence,
Sense.
now the Duo One is the product. Almost 2 years now, the Duo One is finally the product that Microsoft promised it would
It
be.
yeah, no,
That's
and
not great, but if you can get one of these things on the fire sale prices, like I've even seen the 256 gig of this. I have the 256. I've
yeah.
seen this sell for as low as like 399.
Oh my
If
god.
you can grab one and you're
Yeah, yeah.
cool rocking an 855, which is a baller
Oh,
chipset,
dude,
this
yeah.
is now the experience Microsoft promised us almost 2 years
3 years ago.
ago.
But it okay, but we will say this, but it is a la Microsoft to release devices without fully baked in everything and then update everything to the point where it needs to be. And you have a perfect history to see that with every single release that they've done. Uh, the Duo 2 to me still holds a very, like I said, a very special place for me when it comes to productivity because of what it does. I like what the upgrades brought to the experience over the Duo 1. But again, when I met the Duo 1, I met it at a different time. Like it was a weird experience where we were getting slight
Hmm.
updates every once in a while. We were having to run beta software on it just to be able to get a better experience. Where,
Microsoft was
like you
having
said,
to do way more custom code on Android 10.
yeah,
That was really, I think, the Achilles heel was
11 brought in
Microsoft
a
was
lot more.
having
Yeah.
11 brought in a lot more that helped. Recent app updates have been taking better advantage of tablet form factors,
Hmm.
and Android 10 was not ready for that kind of dual panel kind of experience. But I do just want to give a quick shout out here.
Yeah.
I'm already losing it in the chat. There we go. Josh Vergara is apparently tackling video calls, reading emails, and watching his favorite Korean dramas on his Z Fold 4. So TK, I think you can
Dude,
just cancel your Fold 4 order
I just have to go over to
and
Josh's. No,
yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, he already
I
has it, so there you go.
Josh, I'll be there in the morning. You want black coffee
See
or tea?
TK frantically packing a
I was like, what are
suitcase,
you talking about?
Muppet arms flailing.
No, yeah, no. So Josh and I, we had a chance to we had a chance to hang out last week at the event for the OnePlus 10T. So it was definitely nice to see. Hope you're doing well, man. Hope everything's doing great. And but yeah, no, the Z Fold, like I said, the Fold 4 has. And Josh and I kind of went back and forth, like in the past, also talking about, foldables. Do they make sense? Are they functional? I'm a big
Hmm.
proponent of what the foldables offer. It's the form
Hmm.
factor. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my tablet. I am not going to try to do this. I love my tablet. This is a 12.4-inch tablet. It's a
Right.
purposely useful tablet for that. I do not carry this with me. I do not travel with it. I like traveling with a foldable because it's a device that does provide me more with a smaller footprint in my pocket or in my backpack. The Z Fold 4 right now for me, if you're coming from a Z Fold 3, I feel like it's not a real conversation. I think if you're coming from a first generation, maybe. And if you're looking to maybe get into foldables with Samsung, maybe a Z Fold 3 or Z Fold 4. But the experience for the most part for me, I feel like we're not really moving forward. And I want them to move forward for me more. I want them to do the innovation that they used to do. I think that's where the conversation kind of gets weird for me. It's like I miss Samsung being the company that pushes, where we hear about every time a new device is released, we're getting so much more. But I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to seeing what Josh has to say and his experiences, and especially with the camera, because he does a lot more lifestyle. I'd love to see what he's
Hmm.
able to do with the camera, especially with that main 50. It's a big improvement over the 12, obviously, but we need to still see what they're offering us. And of course, looking forward to that, man, and hope you're doing well. Come on over. He's making tea. Okay, so that's where TK is going to be on Friday tomorrow. That's we'll go hang
There you
out.
go. I just take a quick overnight, just hop a quick flight. Just
We'll have to
come.
make it.
Oh
We'll
wait,
have to.
or is yeah,
He's
I don't
back.
know where
No,
Josh
he's back.
is. Like I don't. Okay,
No,
that's
he's
fine.
back.
You
He
guys
was.
can meet up way easier than that. It's great.
I hope. I actually I don't know. TK is. It isn't a big setup. Um, but yeah, so seriously though, the conversation with with the Fold, not the Fold, sorry, with the Duo 2. I'm happy that so I saw the announcement. I'm sure what you're talking about, So if you're on the Patreon, you obviously get first and you get information right away. So make sure you obviously subscribe to Juan's Patreon to be able to get
Oh, you.
sometimes not only exclusive but also early access. So not only sometimes is it
Hmm.
only Patreon, but also sometimes you get early access, higher resolution content, especially with his deep dives. Especially with when we're talking about not again. I love, yeah. Let's talk Vivo. No,
Focus.
sorry, let's talk Xiaomi. Oh yeah, look
Focus.
at
There we
that,
go.
dude.
What are you doing, TK? I'm sorry. I can't do that, TK.
The Omni Eye.
Yeah,
Oh my
this one
god,
was brutal. So what TK is so graciously setting
trying.
up.
Yeah,
It's been early access on the Patreon. If you're on the Patreon in the preview tier,
yeah.
it was out. I think I had it set up for Monday evening or Tuesday morning. TK and I did a field trip where
Yep.
we were shooting a bunch of stuff at the Peterson Automobile
If you
Museum
live in
here
LA
in
and if
Southern
you're
California.
visiting, you have to go to the Peterson. Not a question, not an option. You go, you go, you go. I don't know how I missed
Yeah.
it, but please, yes, no, I
No,
want to go
I
back.
was so
I
glad
want
that
to go
you
back.
like you
I want to
you
go back.
hadn't. I mean,
Yeah,
once you
yeah.
go, it's 3 stories of just like
Oh my god.
warehouses of
Yeah,
amazing cars.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we went and TK was shooting on OnePlus 10T.
yeah,
I
yeah.
I had the
Oh yeah, now we can say that that's what the picture. Everybody kept saying
yes.
the OnePlus 10T sucked, but yet, when you don't know the picture was coming from it, you're like, okay, anyway.
Gee, it's so funny that when you don't label a OnePlus camera sample with OnePlus, that people seem to love the photos from a
Uh,
OnePlus. Interesting that. Isn't it interesting?
no, I
It
know.
always
Yeah,
seems to play out that way.
yeah,
But I had the Vivo, the X80 Pro, and the 12S Ultra in tow for my low light samples.
yeah.
Museum lighting, dark, moody spotlights, supercars and movie theaters and stuff like that. And then I also took these two around my neighborhood for a whole bunch of just real world shooting. And there's a very long video that's currently on the Patreon. It should be going live tomorrow if YouTube will process it because it's currently in a state of check right now. I don't
Oh
know, it
man.
should be ready. But this is the camera showdown between the X80 Pro and the 12S Ultra. And even though we've got like big spec on the Xiaomi versus multiple cameras on the Vivo, this battle is very, very close. So it's one of my camera showdowns. I'm not just setting them in two cradles side by side and trying to talk about one has better HDR colors. The first third of the video is talking about math.
Mhm.
So be prepared. There is going to be some conversation about optical physics and equivalence between different camera sensor sizes and focal lengths.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then there are daylight, HDR, skin tone, some conversations about video, and then the companion sensors, the ultra wide and the telephoto sensors. It's a pretty brutal showdown.
Yeah.
And I love both of these. And I didn't want to finish the video because I kept going out to shoot more samples with both phones. And at some point, I was like, man, I've been shooting on these for a week, like purposely going out, spending time to shoot on these each for a week. I probably should just finish this video. And it's finally ready to go.
Yes. So definitely. So if you guys, like I said, it's obviously, so just make sure you subscribe, make sure to check out the information for, by the way, to Juan's Patreon, as well as his links are in the description below. And of course, if you're in the middle of there going through the description, might as well, hit that like and subscribe to this channel because it kind of helps us and also keeps you posted. Keeps you posted. And that was my sly, personal plug-in there, of course, for everybody in. Um, I'll say this. I still haven't had a chance to play around with the 12S. I actually, in my mind, I'll say this. I want Juan to be done. I want Juan to just finish his video. Very, very selfishly saying these words because I'd like to borrow it.
Oh
But,
yeah, no, this is
it
definitely coming your way. Actually, I mean,
yeah.
because Scoop was saying I really appreciated the time with the X70 Pro Plus. We let Scoop take the X70 for a test drive before it finally found a home in TK's hands, and I don't know if Scoop would be interested in this. Maybe after you're done with it, TK,
Of course.
we play a little round robin And again, someone who is known for being a very talented and gifted photographer would also maybe take a little time with the 12S Ultra before it comes back to me, because this is definitely going to be, this is a museum phone for me.
Yeah, no, no,
This
absolutely.
is
And I'm not
a
gonna, yeah,
critically, but no, this is a critically important, very special kind of device because it is achieving something new with a sensor that we really haven't seen before on another phone. So I am definitely holding on to this one. I'm not going to be flipping it. I'm not going to be selling it. It's going to go on the bookshelf, and I will be using it as the new baseline for how we talk about camera sensor technology in standalone cameras and
hmm
in phones moving forward. But I think he would have some fun with it. So it's got to go to you first.
I appreciate
I
it.
really want you to spend some time with it, but then after that, we'll see if maybe Scoop would also want to take it for a test drive too.
Oh, no, no, I'm sure he'll be able to totally do way more than I can. But for me, it's more about the enjoyment of I want to see the evolutionary upgrade of what Xiaomi is on a Chinese variant. I haven't had it. So for all of my experiences with Xiaomi devices, like you said before, it's always been global. Even with the 11 Ultra that we got last year, that was the only time they released it, and it was very hard to get as a device. So the
Yep.
Ultra itself, to me, is still one of my favorite devices of 2021. Although I still feel like the X70 Pro Plus beat it became part of my experience so late in the year, but then it kind of overshadowed everything that came before it, which is weird. Still to this day, though, I still prefer using it. So I'm the one reason why it became one of the devices that I'm able to keep this luckily keep is because I use it now in a lot of my B-roll, a lot of my content creation and secondary cameras, as opposed to having to take out a
Hmm.
DSLR. The X70 Pro Plus does it so well.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, like I can now say this because for a while there I was sort of using this early, and I was working with a company to try and do my e-bike video.
Okay.
All of the B-roll from that bike video, actually, what's the breakdown? 70% of the B-roll from that bike video was shot on the 12S Ultra, and 30% of the B-roll from that video was shot on the X80 Pro.
All of my
I
B-roll
do not take,
on the Okai was done on the X70 Pro Plus, my friend.
yeah,
All of my
I
B-roll, except
don't
for that
take my
talking
nice
head.
cameras out anymore.
There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason. I mean, honestly, that's the level that you should be. I mean, when you go into these ultra niche type of devices that are focusing very much like Vivo devices on camera experiences and performance, you should be able to expect and understand what the performance is. And when you're it's almost not impossible. It's when it becomes very hard for the naked eye and the average content consumer to recognize the difference between a professional mirrorless camera to a lens that's on the back of a smartphone. And I'm obviously oversimplifying it there. It is very different. It's so exquisite. So yeah, no, absolutely. I'm honestly tempted to say I may not even take a DSLR with me to IFA. I may just go IFA mobile. I'm a
It it
crazy guy,
I
I may do
you
this.
you you have to plan ahead.
Oh yeah.
There are definitely some challenges, but I'm telling you, it is so much nicer when you can roll up on a trade show. You're still carrying a lot of gear,
Oh,
but you're
absolutely.
not packing all of the weight for all of the other equipment that you need for
The
heavier
different, yeah,
camera
the different
camera
lenses, the
equipment and
different, yeah,
stuff.
and then extra batteries, chargers, and a whole bunch of different things. For me, just the example is I appreciate, like, I mean, going to IFA, no, sorry, going to CES with the Alpha 7, sorry, the 7 Mark IV, the Sony. It was exciting, and I did get a chance to use it, and I did utilize it as much, but I almost always felt my hands going straight for the X70 Pro Plus because of the ease of getting in and out of that
Mm-hmm.
situation and relying on the content. So I that was the main reason why I always asked for it back and tried to see what can we do to make that happen. And I'm happy that you were able to find I would say an equally beneficial experience, and hopefully be able to keep going. I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to see. Will there be an X80 Pro Plus? Yeah, I don't know, but as far as we know right now, you
Well,
swear by the
so
X80.
so here's, I mean, again, like when I'm saying like I'm gonna hold on to this 12S Ultra from Xiaomi as like a benchmark phone
Yeah.
now.
hmm
Um, this isn't a part of my camera comparison, so I feel fine sort of like kind of dumping my guts out here. And why I'm getting a little kind of strangely emotional, we've been building up to this point the 1 inch camera sensor. But the
Yeah.
1 inch sensors that we've had in the past have traditionally been for standalone cameras. You've got a different flange, you've got a different lens distance from the sensor to the lens that would be built into a camera. The Sony RX series, they're brilliant. They're amazing, sort of prosumer grade cameras with these 1 inch sensors. But now that we've got a purpose built smartphone, 4:3 aspect ratio, pixel binning, high output, high resolution camera sensor, that when you bin those pixels down, competes directly against the photosite size of micro four thirds. The pixels in the 12S Ultra are bigger than the pixels in the GH6, a
Oh my God.
$2,200 production grade video camera. Now we're in a new tier.
Yeah.
This is a revolution. This isn't evolution. We have never seen anything like this before. We've never had these kinds of brute hardware capabilities. And this could be a sensor for standalone cameras if there was a manufacturer who wanted to license this kind of sensor technology. This could be a benefit in other arenas too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now with a 1 inch sensor, you have a sensor that is larger than Super 16 millimeter film. So feature films like The Wrestler and Black Swan were shot Super 16.
Hmm.
You've got a sensor in your pocket that is larger than the film size of low budget cinema grade photography. So now we are at a new precipice. We are at a new transition point. And what we should be able to do with the sensor moving forward, I'm hoping we'll see in like an X90.
Hmm.
Imagine a Vivo taking their V1 coprocessor,
That's yeah. Yeah.
applying it to this improved sensor size, this new hardware, and the new capabilities that we would be able to achieve with something like that. We should be very anxious about what smartphone photography will look like over the next 2 to 3 years. It will
Absolutely.
not really get better than this because you got to have this kind of a lump on the back of your phone. 1 inch, we've arrived. Like there's not really much else we can do going bigger until we go to interchangeable lenses on the backs of our phones, which I don't see that really being a viable consumer
No,
strategy
yeah,
anytime
I'd love
soon.
to see an IP rating on a phone is like, yeah, you just pop at the back. It just a work. No, I don't know with my accents, and I don't know why I'm saying these things. I do apologize. I've been
It's
going.
very culturally insensitive, and I'm
It's
here for
very.
it.
I do apologize.
TK chose violence this morning, and I'm down
I
for it.
yeah, yeah, Juan's actually being the calm one tonight. I don't know what's going on with me, man. No, no, seriously. It is very nice to be able to see it. So I'll say this much: I'm looking forward to seeing it. If you guys haven't had a chance to, make sure you check it out when it drops tomorrow. Hopefully, if it processes all the way, at least goes through the check process of this. And if not, you could definitely catch it on the Patreon. I also
Hmm.
kind of want to mention I saw some information. So last week we talked about the fact that you were working on the Pixel 6. The
Yeah.
Pixel 6 review. And before I jump into that, I do want to say I'm tempted to write. So there's a mod going around of trying to push the Pixel 6 to 90 hertz. I'm not saying I want to do it, but I'm actually, I gotta take that back. I'm saying I
I
want
think
to.
you should try.
I was gonna say
I
I am.
might
Yeah,
try.
I
Yeah.
say I say the words. I'm not gonna do it, but in my mind it's like
So
no.
so here's what I don't know.
Yeah,
I am better at reading through white papers on SoC and on camera sensors.
yeah, yeah.
I really am not a display guy. Like this is where I would love for like Erica Griffin to come
Oh,
in and school me
absolutely.
hard on
Yeah, yeah.
something like this. The panel that Google is using for the Pixel 6a, when you look up the part number,
Hmm.
is technically capable of being driven to 120 hertz.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know if panels can be rated internally and binned like an SoC.
Hmm.
So, like, is Google saving money by going to Samsung and saying, hey, we need your B grade panels that maybe shouldn't be driven to 120 hertz, but would be totally fine at 60 hertz?
Or yeah,
That's the
or
only
they're
thing
rated for
I don't
60 with an
know.
iffy 90 to 120, basically, which is
Exactly.
what you're saying. Yeah.
I don't know if because in SoC land or in CPU land or in GPU land, you have the silicon lottery where you can maybe get a little overclocking performance overhead on one
Yep.
CPU that, even though it's the same model number,
Model
they're
number.
not binned the same. I don't know if displays are ranked and categorized to that degree. My concern would be Google saying like this is a 60 hertz phone. We know
Yeah.
it's going to nuke the battery
Oh,
running
I mean,
Tensor at 120 hertz on a smaller battery. But then also, if this panel is binned to really only be a 60 hertz panel and you drive it at 90, is that
how do you
going to
damage it
wear out the panel or burn in the panel
faster?
faster because it wasn't really the same
It,
quality, even though it's
it's
the
it
same part number?
it's always modding a device or modding changing what the device is intended and purposely built for and tested for. There's always a risk with it. So yeah, when we say I'm interested in trying it out, you have to understand I am taking a risk with that. That potentially my device may not be the same device as somebody else's. And I can say
Yeah.
purpose specifically, I don't have the Magic 6A because Juan has the Magic 6 Pixel 6A.
My
I know
6A seems to be running better than most other people's
most
6As.
others.
My 6A
So
is apparently
it, it's the
amazing.
better it's the better bend the panda version that runs better. So apparently everything else I'm not saying they have problems, but performance has been somewhat of a mix. Same thing with when we look at devices like even with the Nothing Phone One, same company, same device. Most people with assembled in India are having some concerns and issues with the panels on the device. But if it's assembled in China, sold in the UK, your device runs supposedly much better. So
Yeah.
it's always going to be this risk of understanding. So if you are listening and you're considering doing this on a 6A that you own, understand the concerns that we're referring to in meeting. And there is a risk. There is a risk of maybe damaging your display unrepairable damage without
But again,
replacing the
I'm
panel.
here for it.
Yeah, I know.
Let's do
I
it.
would love. We're the ones who should be trying this so that you
We're
don't
the ones, so you don't have to.
have to. Thank you. Welcome back. And yeah, this is the show
The,
where
I,
we do
I'm
things
really
you
digging
don't
this
have
little
to.
Pixel 6a. I'm
Yeah,
very curious to see what it's capable of doing. But again,
yeah,
I want to be careful. If I do this,
yeah,
I am not confident
hmm
that just because my Pixel 6a could handle this modification, that all Pixel 6as will be able to handle this modification. That's the thing I'm most concerned about is we would be pushing this beyond the spec that Google recommends for the usage of this product. And just like overclocking your
Oh,
PC,
not only
it's like
none of that
I need the
warrants
the
for.
disclaimers, the buyer
Yeah,
bewares, the warning, everything to say this.
may very well void your warranty if.
It
Yeah, no,
probably will if they see
yeah.
this kind of panel damage to your display.
You were like, "This is interesting. I've never seen damage where the display is melting." I'm like, "No, no, no." At the end of the day, just obviously understand. Obviously, higher processing power. There's going to be more power drawn from Tensor to run that display. To that matter, the display is going to pull more power. So your battery is obviously you're going to see that usage just keep dropping faster. But I was excited to see that there are some things being done around that field, and that there are potentially possibilities. And of course, we don't have extended amount of testing on this. Nobody's had it with this mod for so long that we know for sure the device can handle it and stick with it. But it is interesting. So that was exciting. I saw that. I saw Max's post earlier today, and I was like, "This is exciting. I like it. This is taking me back a little bit to modding and getting things there." But um, actually, what I was leading into is that you dropped a new series of a video, a Pixel 6a for 26 minutes. Were you trying to match the six with the
Yeah,
six? Was that the purpose there? Was there
yeah,
a purposely
totally. Nailed it.
on top? Okay,
Boom.
good.
That's my third finger guns for this podcast. I'm just like, man, I'm firing on all cylinders. I was working with the folks at reviews.org,
Yeah.
and I have a bad habit of not being able to completely judge a different audience what their tech understanding might be.
Okay.
So there's about 6 minutes of that review where I'm just trying to explain why there have been some controversies surrounding the Pixel 6a in terms of actually me talking about how I used the phone and what I think it compares against and what the bang for the buck might be. It's about an 18-minute review. But the entire quantity of video that I had to produce, because I'm not sure, the reviews.org audience might be tech savvier than I'm giving them credit for, but I ran into this problem at Pocket Now where I would make assumptions on things and then I'd get wild comments on like, but you didn't do this basic test. And you're like, yeah, but why would I have? You're not basic. Oh, oh, you're basic. So I'm not trying to say
I know.
people are basic. It's more, I wanted to make sure all my bases were covered.
Yeah.
And so like I go into the display and I do the UFO test and I talk about 60 hertz and I try and explain why this was controversial. That's why the video is 26 minutes long. But I kind of felt like we needed to do that. We needed to take that time to sort of describe what this phone is. I really am concerned. I do not believe
Hmm.
Pixel 6a is exactly the same kind of recommendation that people who liked Pixel 4a and 5a, it might not be the right phone. It really might not be. If it's battery life against all else, you might want to skip Pixel 6a, but we break all that down in that video for the reviews.org, their new separate channel for hardware.
Yeah, no, no. So, but that video did come out, and I think it's an exciting collaboration between you and reviews.org. Because I remember you were talking about, debating if you wanted to have that video for your channel or did you want to have it for, reviews.org. And we kind of went back and forth, but I was excited to see that
Yeah.
it finally came out.
Simon says Hypno, release the
This is
snarker cut.
Oh my
So
God.
I just want to reply real quickly. Simon says Hypno also put out this one comment. He says, I mean, they say 1-inch sensor on the internet, but in reality. So here's the thing. A 1-inch type sensor is a type of sensor. It's not
Mhm.
1-inch on any given dimension. When we talk about 1-inch, it's because there was a 1-inch tube in old television equipment, and the internal light gathering apparatus inside that tube often had just shy of a 16 millimeter diagonal.
Okay.
And the 1-inch type sensors that we've seen in the past, like in the Sony RX series, were 3:2 aspect ratios at just under 16 millimeters on the diagonal. Going to 4:3 means that we're actually using more of the space that would be circular. You're closer to square. So
Yeah.
if you imagine a circle with a skinnier rectangle versus a circle with a more square rectangle, you're using more surface area to gather light and capture the image.
Hmm.
The image sensor on the Xiaomi, this new Xiaomi Sony collaboration, is actually a tiny bit larger than a 1-inch type sensor. The
Oh,
Sony RX has a 15.9 millimeter diagonal. This has, in a 4:3 aspect ratio, a 16.3 millimeter diagonal. So it's even bigger than
yeah.
what we would classify as a true 1-inch type sensor. So it's not 1-inch, it's
Hmm.
actually bigger
Slightly
than
bigger.
1-inch.
Okay.
Slightly bigger. But that's again because we measure 1-inch by a branding, not by an actual measurement of size. A 1-inch type sensor is roughly 16 millimeters on the diagonal.
It's actually the first time I've heard you use the term 60, the 1-inch type, but maybe that may be the
Yes.
better way for us
That
to
is
describe
more
it.
accurate. We shouldn't be calling it a 1-inch sensor because there is no measurement on that sensor that equals an inch.
So is this very similar to the way where Subway was selling footlongs subs, but they weren't really footlongs? Okay.
Yes. Completely correct. Only there's a better reason for why we call it a 1-inch type sensor
That's
because
good.
there used to be a 1-inch diameter circular hole in
Yeah.
television broadcast cameras that a tube light gathering instrument would be inserted into. And when we switched to these other types of like CMOS style
Hmm.
sensors, they had to fit roughly the same cavity. Whereas Subway is just lying about cheap bread-like substances that can't really
Yeah.
be called bread in the UK because they don't have enough bread in them to be called bread.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is Taco Bell with their anyways. This is, yeah, I know. It's a debate. I had to throw that in because it was, when companies claim for something to be something. No, so yeah, totally with you. I appreciate the explanation there for Simon. I appreciate that actually that is actually a very interesting approach, because we
No,
also seen that
I
Sony
see.
did have,
Like,
they touted this
obviously, a
the one
number
inch
of people in
sensor
our
on
chat right
their
now are
on
making 1 inch jokes,
the
and
Pro I
hopefully,
before. So yeah, no, 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 I'm with you. No, no, I'm with you. And I think there was another comment. I think Simon was saying one more thing. Oh yeah, so yes, thank you for explaining it and going through that one. No, I think it's always, I love listening to the explanations, because sometimes you obviously learn more things as well. I appreciate, and I'm a very I'll say this, I'm an aficionado when it comes to consuming content from set tech, but sometimes just the understanding of, truly just understanding how things are, and why the rationale behind 1 inch, because we're going to hear more about them. There's going to be more companies releasing devices that are there. Maybe not in the floodgates of opening, with the amount of folds that we have, but it's going to be
sure.
something.
Well,
Um,
but this is also why, I mean, and again, I know why we're making male genitalia jokes in the chat and stuff, but I can't contain my varying levels of excitement for products like this, because there is a reason to spend more money on a product. There are so few people I feel comfortable recommending a Fold or a Duo as their main daily driver phone. That is a very narrow band audience.
yeah.
There are so few people, and a couple of them are in this chat already with their hands on these kinds of phones.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
are so few people that I would feel comfortable saying, you will get $1,300 worth of use out of one of these mega camera sensor phones.
Yeah.
Scoop, he is a person that I could say, like, man, if you want to spend $1,300 on a phone, Scoop will push that phone to its bleeding edge. He will push it to the limits of its capabilities, and you will get amazing images out of it. Michael Peppertech, I trust that he is driving his X80. I don't know, Michael, is your X80 back from getting
I,
repaired?
I saw
I didn't know
somewhere.
if you'd gotten it sent back yet, but he is also someone that I trust is actually curious about utilizing that camera tech to its limits.
I
TK, sitting next to me in this chat, has an X70 Pro Plus that I know he is
Absolutely,
driving to its limits.
absolutely.
I feel comfortable with guys like that. Anyone else? And I'm telling you, do not buy these types of mega camera sensor phones unless you care, or you're curious, or you're wanting to learn, or you already know a little bit about photography, light, composition, and editing. Otherwise, you will see very little difference for your snapshots and your point and shoot, you
Hmm.
know, social media photos over getting a Pixel 6a. Like, just stay there and you'll save money, and you'll probably like the HDR output better,
Hmm.
and that's good. And you've got a great camera there.
No,
But
absolutely.
that's just it. A folding phone has a very specific kind of narrow band recommendation. A mega camera phone has a very specific kind of customer recommendation. We've got all of these very finely defined
Yeah.
differences between these phones, and that's what gets me lit up. I'm there for that. I'm like, let's go, because that's so much more interesting to talk about than, I don't know, it does the TikTok and it's real nice and you can spend a lot of money on it, but average people like does nothing for me.
Yeah, you have to buy the tech. You have to, yeah, purposely use it for what you need, and don't overbuy just for the sake of overbuying. Just, enjoy what you want out of it and get the right thing for you. This is why you do the research. This is why, obviously, for everybody in our chat that typically looks for devices, they don't just, jump in and go and let's say, okay, let me go buy whatever's sitting on the shelf. They're going to do the research. They're going to look for things, and they're going to definitely, um, find what fits for them. Like Aditya purposely
Mm-hmm.
loves what he's using. He was LG for the
Yeah.
longest time. So yeah,
So, Aditya saying, you pulled me in with the average consumer crowd. A1. No, actually, Aditya has been very curious about driving his Xperia
oh,
cameras
absolutely.
way
No,
harder.
no,
But we've been
exactly.
seeing the output in the Discord. Like, Aditya is turning into. I mean, again, I definitely lean more towards nature photography, macro photography, candid photography. And some of the stuff that Aditya's been coming out with has definitely been right up my alley. Really
I'll say,
contrasty photos of
yeah,
flowers and beautiful morning light. Yep, I'm there. Like,
yeah, yeah.
sign me
No,
up. I
I'm.
will look at those photos all day long.
I started so after my couple of trips to New York within the last month and a half, because I don't know how I ended up doing it. I'm starting to enjoy a little bit more architectural photography, just cityscapes and
Yeah.
landscapes, and just the way buildings look and reflections and like just everything. Like New York, I'll say this. I've been in New York many times, but I haven't truly appreciated it as much as I have within the last couple of trips because they were specifically around smartphones. And, with OnePlus devices in the past, I've always like flown in and flown out and literally in the same day, never had
Yeah.
enough time. But this time I took a little bit of more, walking around. I even got a chance to go see the vessel. That was an amazing structure. I don't know how I missed it with the amount of
Right.
times I've been there. So, but yeah, no. So speaking about Aditya, it is everybody that's joining us tonight to a certain point has a much better understanding what they need their device and what do they need out of
Hmm.
it. And I think that's always the recommendation I try to do. This is why I represent a device and I always represent it for what it can do and what it lacks. A device like the OnePlus 10T, again, it's not a pro. It's intended to be more for speed, for
Yeah.
performance. And it has a good camera sensor on the back. The 50 megapixel can definitely do amazing for you, but that's the experience that the 10T is going to give you. Don't go into it expecting a 10 Pro experience. And it's the same thing with a Sony. When you jump into a Sony device, there are different tiers of Sonys to give you different experiences, from the 5 to the 10 to the 1 to the Pro I. There's such a beautiful flavoring of it. And I do want to one last comment just to kind of mention everybody. Not that I was ignoring the comments in there. I actually wasn't looking because of the placement of where my comments are. I miss a good number sometimes. I saw Michael Peppertech and a DTS hitting me, saying like TK skipping.
Well,
Very
Michael
casually.
Peppertech's joke that TK censored our censor jokes, I think that's the mic drop right there. Like,
That's
I
what I saw.
think he won on
Yeah.
the really good dad joke pun
My God.
of the
Because
chat
that's how we.
jokes right
No,
there.
that's how we. But you guys know me. I'm not going to say I'm PG, but per se, but definitely more. Yeah, I've had people on the show try to make me say things I usually don't. It just doesn't.
Oh, okay. Michael Peppertech also explained, due to some local shipping import issues in China, currently it hasn't gone back. Still awaiting the all clear and making sure it doesn't get caught up at the border. I
Okay,
mean, I'm
good.
sure the logistics on that are going to be more complicated, but
Oh,
I'm
for
still
sure.
very anxious to see how it pans out for you, because I know you really liked that phone, and I really like that phone, and it would make me sad if they weren't able to help you out
I really hope
with a
I'm
repair on
hoping to
that.
get. Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Um, Speaking of which, I know we're getting almost to that lovely time of the show, but so
Yeah.
tomorrow we're more than likely going to be seeing that. Was there going to be anything else maybe over the weekend coming out from you, or maybe any plans
Um,
that maybe get anybody excited about for next week?
So probably not anything too major over the weekend. I know last week I was teasing some earbud videos, but the rest of this
Yeah.
week rocked me pretty hard. So I'm hoping to get back on track for those. On reviews.org, I think we're going to try and do just a little like fan. It'll probably end up being a short, actually. Just kind of celebrating the end of Better Call Saul.
Okay.
The last episode of Better Call Saul airs next week, and I want to have like a little short or reaction just to kind of that coming out. I'm going to be reviewing a doorbell camera, the
Okay.
Eufy dual camera doorbell.
Nice.
I've got another major travel battery,
Hmm.
like kind of like the Anchor that I reviewed. It's a little bit smaller than the Anchor.
Oh yeah. Well,
And
when you said
then I'm
travel,
missing
yeah,
something
there's
else.
certain limitations
Yeah,
in
like
size.
handles, and it goes next to your cooler and it goes in the back of your car, but it technically can travel.
I like it.
So it's pretty hardcore. And then digging back into some Sony gear,
Good.
revisiting the Sony Pro I, and checking out some of this new software that I think you've already spent some time with,
Not that much
if
more,
I'm
but
not
yes,
mistaken.
very little more with the A7 IV, which I'm really really happy that it's back. I like the A7 IV, and I obviously I'll be switching the kit lens that we got with it, but yeah. So I was showing you guys the Pro I. Yeah, like come on, Sony, love. Okay,
Now,
mine
I
is
just want you
fingerprint.
to see that Panasonic beat the Sony to focusing on a Sony. I
Fudge.
would just like to point it out.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
any
I know
Sony PR people are listening or watching right now, because
for sure.
Panasonic's, boy howdy, do we not have the good autofocus.
Yeah, I know. No, no, I.
I was watching one of my videos and I'm like, why does it keep focusing on the shelf behind me? Oh, my camera was looking at that painting
Yeah,
of the caricature of me and decided that it needed to focus on that face
because it's
more
a
than
face.
me.
It's a
I
face.
needed to move my chair and then it would focus on me again. I did an entire like 6-minute take of a video with the, I mean, again, because I'm just looking at this little like preview window and not realizing that it was not looking at me at all. So good job there, Panasonic. You did great.
Hands
But
down.
it did beat you to focusing on the Pro Eye.
Oh wait, no,
So
no.
you did win
You
that one.
let's not forget though. You are using Nvidia power too, so let's be honest with each other.
Oh,
Really? No, no.
oh.
So yes, hopefully I'll have something similar as well, talking a little bit more about that. And then of course, I do. I need to start kind of putting together. So I decided to pick up the Nothing phone after talking to Dan and realizing I could just pick it up straight from Amazon UK and have it shipped, and then get it here in literally 3 days. I'm like, that made no sense to me. I'm like, I could have done this a week ago
That's
or 2 weeks,
interesting.
3 weeks ago. But I went with the black one because I actually liked the design. I find like it with the fact that it can control supposedly be able to control a Tesla. I like it to match the color of my car because that's how we do it. But
Nice.
I'll say this though, the controls for Tesla doesn't work. It's like, how is it a disappointment?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a bummer.
it connects. The widgets are there. It does have a very nice the UI element is definitely nice, but none of the controls work. Um, and I don't know if it's something to do maybe with Sony, not Sony, with Tesla, or specifically with the way I don't know because it says it's technically a beta app, so they never really guaranteed that it works. It's there.
Mm.
So I have that to kind of finish off, and I do want to put out one more video also on the 10T, the actual review of that, because now that I've had more time to spend with it than just at the time when I got it, I had it barely under a week. And then
Right,
I
right.
also want to circle back with the 6A after the last couple of updates we've had with how they perform.
Yeah.
So just more kind of closing
I
out
mean, no
conversations.
one's no one said anything, so obviously those few people that had these very concerning issues with the 6A, they must all have been fixed.
They're all done
Because we
they,
haven't seen any continuing conversation on
no,
the
no.
6A. It's almost like if they weren't earnest in communicating actual problems that consumers might face, that they think they have no responsibility in following up on the conversation to see if those are still issues.
Yeah.
Now that the product has gotten a couple updates, some app updates, and a security patch.
Yeah.
So I guess all we can surmise from that is those of us who weren't having issues, this was a big old nothing burger just to suck the wind out of the little sliver of interest. Because I don't know if
Yeah.
you look up like Pixel 6a on Google Trends, it's already plummeting as a topic in
I
terms of
saw,
search
yeah, no, no,
interest.
I saw it in your commentary before. So yeah, no, I'm with you. It's yeah, and
Not great.
sadly, yeah, yeah, not much really to be said there. That's going to be how it is. But that's going to be kind of it's circling back. On the Buds, I was hoping to put out the Google Buds Pro video, but so during the last 2 weeks, I've been using so many wireless buds in my ear that now I need to give it a little bit of a break. So that's why I'm kind of focusing more on devices, a little bit more content there. I want to see what Nothing's doing with their device. I mean, don't get me wrong, the initial 24 hours impression of this, honestly, it's not a bad device. I mean, overall, it I feel like it's going back to what OnePlus's roots were than what OnePlus is right now, and
Yeah,
with more of a material
fair.
you a little bit thing. Um, couple of the UI elements, not necessarily my cup of tea. I probably would not have put two big bubbles at the top of scrolling widgets really far away from where my thumb is. I would have moved them to the bottom, but these are aesthetics. The hardware is
Mm-hmm.
solid, and I think we'll have to see. So we'll have to. I may go out this weekend and maybe take some pictures with the family out at the beach or so on, just trying to test out the camera and see how it performs, and yeah, build up a good impression of what the nothing is. So nothing to see here. Kind of a thing. But I know I meant that bad joke on Instagram. I didn't want to do that. But one thing I will also say is I'm going to try to do some coverage as well on Color OS. There's going to be a launch hopefully very soon with Color OS 13.
Yeah.
So that was also kind of teased early this week. Hopefully we'll be able to see what they're going to offer. So as soon as I'm able to get it, I'll obviously be able to share some content on that. But they, if I'm not mistaken, I think they teased it to be on the 18th. So, and they sent me this nice little plaque thing that says, Color OS 13 is coming. So, yeah. So keeping it light, keeping it cool. Hopefully my work day life thing kind of calms down a little bit by next week. I'm hoping for that. Because once that happens, I'm able to focus more on content and I can push out more content and obviously have more engaging conversations. So we'll see how that goes. So It'll
It'll
be
be
good.
good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So plenty to keep track of, folks. A whole crew of people doing some amazing streaming.
Absolutely.
LaShawn, holler at your boy, is going to be hosting basically just the roast night tomorrow. I don't know if it's Ignorant Hours or open mic. But then we've got your stream on Saturday,
Yep.
right?
Android Bay, Saturday morning.
We've got Jeff. We've got El Jefe reviews on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. I'll be coming back for another news podcast coming in on Monday.
Yep.
Tuesday is Kimmy, Gadget Goddess. Wednesday is Eric, Easy Computer Solutions. And then we're back in next Thursday with Ike Talks Tech before our show
On Thursday
for another episode of the Best of Our Week.
Always. And I honestly would say the best of our week is, I mean, in a weird way, it's hanging out with you, Juan, hanging out with everybody in the chat, getting a chance to talk, and having a little bit of friendly banter back and forth, and many people dunking on me, but that's just the way it is. One, any recent update to the Magic 4 Pro? I haven't seen a recent one. I don't know. Did yours pick up one, or are you? Because I remember you and I were back.
I just got one, but I want to say I might have been an update behind you guys.
Yeah, but that's what I was thinking, because
I think I'm now current, but I don't think there have been a lot of updates. So again, we'll follow up. I didn't actually mean to. I was going to try and type out a response so my clacky keyboard wasn't making a ton of noise on the mic.
Oh, no.
So we'll follow up with that, Simon, because now we're ending this podcast.
No, I'm with you. So be safe, stay safe. We'll see you guys next week. Make sure to check out the information in the description. Audio podcast will be hopefully coming out tomorrow morning or sometime in the next 24 hours, of course. And we'll see you guys for another episode of the Best of Our Week next week. Take care for now.